Hey guys, and welcome to a new episode of FemFlex Friday. I am joined by my co-host, Alina Popa, and we have a very exciting segment because in our industry, photo shoots are a big deal. So we grabbed 3 of the top hottest photographers in our industry to bring them on and talk about interesting stuff like how to prep for a photo shoot, do's and don'ts. And Alina, you've done several. So you've had your fair share of good and bad?
I have had a fair share of good and bad. My question was when was your first photo shoot? Do you remember the year?
It was 2011 at my first national show, and those photos are hilarious. So we all make mistakes, which is why we have 3 of the top photographers to help guide all of you to not make those same mistakes. So joining us today, we have Will Edwards, Brett Seeley, and Sean Nelson. So guys, we're gonna throw a bunch of questions at you. You gotta help us all out, because even Alina and I, who've done several photo shoots, we're still learning.
This is really exciting to have you guys here. Thank you so much for joining us. My first question for you is, how important is communication beforehand? Do you usually get on long, extensive communication with your models?
And let's start with maybe Brett. Let's go with you first.
One, thank you so much for having us on the show. Huge fans. Lena and I, we shot way back in the day. I think we shot
2012.
Oh my! You were one of my first. Lena was one of my first actual
gym shots.
True professionals in the industry.
Oh, fun!
So,
yeah,
nice.
She's the one that got me in my start. So, as far as the question about a lot of communication, I'm a huge fan of communicating a ton because I don't like just shooting random stuff. No, I want to know why we're shooting. What are the images for? Where are they going to be seen? What's the objective? Are there any business goals? Because that's going to directly tie into how we shoot. And so I'm a huge fan of having some, a lot of communication. So that way we can maximize the shoot slot.
And Will, how do you do this? For example, when you are shooting multiple athletes the day after a show, obviously there's not a lot of place for communication right there, right? Especially if you just choose them because you saw them on stage and they look fabulous.
Yeah. So Lena, that's a whole different kind of shoot. I mean, I echo Brett, to really get great stuff, you really need to understand what an athlete is looking for. And that's the key thing. They're athletes. They're not models. Most of the time, people always say, oh my God, your models look so fantastic. And you have to remember, direction is key, communication is key to be able to draw what you want. These folks are not used to this, many of them. Yeah. And so they need direction, they need communication, and they need a lot of confidence building. The day after show, when we just grab people, Lena, for Wings of Strength for shoots, and we have an hour to pull off great pictures, it's super challenging, but you have to look at people and have a vision and have an understanding of what you think they can do. I always give people, my trick is to give them a doppelganger, somebody that they look like, that they may emulate, that they may not look like them. Maybe they're the way they move or, look similar. So that gives you a lead or gives me a start to say, hey, wow, you look like this. I mean, the best compliment I get back is, oh my God, is that me? It's like, yeah, that's you.
Yeah.
But the day after show, you don't have, a lot of that. And so it's almost like bring a suitcase, To
me, this is very interesting because I never thought that a photographer would regard us as models and athletes and make a difference.
Yeah.
Sean, which type is your favorite, the model or the athlete?
Oh man, I like them both. Both of them have the pros. I do both the shoots where you're preparing for the shoot right ahead of time, and then the shoots where you just kind of grab someone and you say, let's shoot. And the approach is completely different, like they said. When I shoot with the model who's looking to set something up, we really do have a talk. We have to talk over the phone or through text messages, just talking about what do they want to do. And sometimes they don't know what they want, right?
Sure.
And so in those kind of situations, if I give them some input, I also say, hey, look at some photos. Let's look at some photos online that you love. Let's see what inspires us both. And then we kind of use that as our lead to then get to the point where we get shots that we want. And then when you're shooting the athlete after the show, like Will said, you grab a suitcase, you just shoot them. Usually the goal is to show off their physique. What I would add to that is it's nice to have your own like outfits, right? So if you had your own bikinis as a photographer, it just saves you a lot of headaches, because a lot of these girls, they don't come to these shows with a bunch of photo shoot outfits. They have like a gym outfit and their stage bikini. And so what made my life a lot easier is just to have some bikinis or some gym outfits like prepared and ready for those athletes.
That was actually one of my questions, but I do believe that, Brett, you're not shooting on a contest, right? You only do models, you do projects, is it right? From what I see on your social media.
I do a little bit of both. I'm leaning more towards not doing so many shows this year because I'm getting old. I'm not young like Sean is. Sean's like a third of my age, so... I think I'm younger than Will, though. I don't know.
Throwing you under the bus, Will. Come on.
Yeah, I'm definitely the
He
old
says my doppelganger is William Hung, so I was a little bit offended at that. So that was...
That's good. That's good.
We go way back.
man. Thank goodness we're not in front of the camera, right?
Exactly.
Now, to go off of something that Sean said about, looking at photos, and one question we had is, what is your true take on that? So if I'm coming into a photo shoot and I say, okay, look at these, I want these looks and this posing, do you find that, number one, that gives some guidance, but does that set them up to say, I want to look like this, but if their physique's not like that, if they're not flexible to hit that pose, can that be a bad thing? Will, what do you think?
But not only that, but what if it's somebody else's pictures and not yours? Will?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. People come in and show me Sean's picture, said, I want to look just like that. The same thing with Brett. But no, seriously, that does happen all the time. People will come in and they'll bring just your pictures, or they'll bring up a variety of pictures. And all of it helps because it gives you an idea of what's in their head. It's not necessarily about emulating exactly what they've shown you. It's about understanding what their goals are, their intentions are, because from that you can begin to have that serious talk. I mean, I'm old. I don't play with people. I don't kind of talk to them about, oh yeah, we can do everything. I'm very, very direct and clear and honest with them. And I say, that looks great, but that's not your look. Let's look at something like this, or let's do this. What do you think about that? And try to get them to the point where, their kind of ideals about what they want are reality based. But this helps set up the idea that, hey, I like that you're telling me this. And I'll tell you, the cool thing about athletes is that they take direction well. They are used to structure. They're used to a coach telling them what to do. And I taught Taekwondo for a long time, and it's weird because it translates that direction and that kind of control, if you will. It translates well. And these athletes, I mean, I love working with the bodybuilders, fitness competitors, figure, because all of them have that same, kind of piece that, wow, okay, I'm ready. What do I need to do? I mean, Alina was like that. She was absolutely fantastic. She's like, what are we doing today? And that kind of attitude just helps support good opportunities to get great images.
Yep. I wanted to know, Brett, when you have girls coming, let's say they have no camera experience, not only that, but they're camera shy and they look all tense and the shoots that just don't come right. What do you do to dissipate that kind of atmosphere and energy in your photo shoots?
I love the first timers. I love athletes or models that have never shot before because, one, they don't have bad habits, and two, they don't have this idea of what they think they should be doing and yada, yada,
I want to know what a bad habit is, though.
Well, there's some people that when they move, they have their go-to poses,
Okay.
and they always, like if they were to shoot with 10 photographers back to back, but none of the photographers had any kind of thumbprint on the image. Models typically have their favorite 10 poses or 20 or whatever it is. And if you watch a lot of them, they go through their cycle of poses. And then by minute 5, they're like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
I've done all of my moves. I prefer to take a look and I've watched these other guys shoot as well, and I see the same thing. I prefer to take a look and see what they have and see what's unique about the current athlete. And then if someone has just amazing quads, then I want to say your quads are insane. Let's focus on those so that way they can build a little bit of confidence.
Sure.
But what I tell people is the neck down, I've got it. The only thing you need to focus on are your eyes and your mouth. So let's kind of talk about how we can help you, master those two things. And once they kind of get a feel for what I'm looking for, what Sean's looking for, what Will's looking for, we've been around for a few minutes, and so we should know what looks better than other poses. Sure. But when the athletes can focus on just a few things like their eyes, which that can make or break the image, it allows us to to kind of customize a shoot to their specific strengths.
Thank you, Brett. We'll come back after this commercial break with a question for Sean. And we're back, and I want to thank you, Brett, for what you said earlier, because I have had, I don't know if I should call them photo shoots back in the beginning of my days, when I would be in front of a camera and the photographer would be like, okay, next, and that was all the instructions I got.
That's the direction you got?
Talking about directions, Sean, when you notice facial expressions that don't look so good or so complimentary for your model, how do you tell them that they need to change that?
Fix your face.
There's the mean way of saying no. You just got to tell them. You got to be. I'm blunt, but I'm very friendly about it. So the majority of who I shoot with, they're brand new at this. They've never done a photo shoot before. So they're like a sponge, soaking up all the knowledge. So if I say anything about, hey, let's work on your facial expressions, they're wide-eyed. They're going to be like, yes, tell me, teach me. Yeah. And I will show them myself, smizing with the eyes, like something like this, relax the lips. There's different techniques that you play with them. You test it out, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I also like to keep the shoot fun. Mm-hmm. And I love capturing those candid moments. Yeah. So some of the models who might be struggling with the facial expressions, I will be able to get a good candid smile or, a laugh, which is genuine because we're actually having a good time.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned little tricks, because obviously it seems like each photographer has a little trick to help with the face.
Yeah.
And we want the inside scoop, because I'm sure you guys each have a different one. And Sean, I just shot with you 2 weeks ago. We had a blast, by the way, and you got a lot of open mouth belly laugh shots, which are not cute, but we had a blast. I'm working on the laugh cute photo, but that's going to take some work. But you gave direction too, and I loved it. But share with everybody what it is regarding, say, relaxing your face or whatever it is where you don't look so tense. So we want to hear from each of you. Sean, let's start with you.
And one thing that I always say to them is, breathe out of your mouth. Don't keep your mouth shut. Because to keep your mouth shut like this, you have to make your mouth shut. You have to close it. So I say, hey, breathe out of your mouth, relax your lips, put your tongue on the roof of your mouth. It kind of separates the lips a little bit to give you that more relaxed look.
We're trying these now, so if we look a little goofy, we need practice. Okay, now Brett, what about you? What is your trick to make us not look so weird?
It's all about food. If you think about the most delicious thing you've ever had, especially if you're right after the show or right before, you have to have something that makes you say, oh, that sounds so good. Oh. Those eyes are going to work for any style that you shoot.
Interesting. I like that.
That's a psychological trick, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Love it. And Will, what's your inside secret?
Well, the thing that I do is a little different. I talk to the competitor about what they want to do, about what they're doing. I show them pictures that we've taken, and I say, these are good. Oh, these are not so good. Or you see how your face looks here. And as you're talking to them, what happens is the folks are creating this what I call a listening face. And you see it?
Yeah.
And that listening face ends up being really, really interesting because they're into whatever you're talking about. And so I say, you see how that feels? That's what I want you to do. I want to see you're listening. And you continue that conversation while you're shooting, and man, you just start going down a pathway. And it's and to Sean's earlier point, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you get something different, and it gives you something to start with. And in many cases, when you're working with someone, that's all you need. You just need something to start with, because if you don't have a vision as a photographer, I don't care what kind of camera or lighting or anything else you're using, then you're lost. So you got to have an idea for the person, and you give them a pathway. And sometimes you could just let them go, and oh my God, you get absolutely fantastic stuff.
I'm listening, Will. I'm listening.
Yeah.
You're always listening.
You know, one thing that actually happened in a shoot with Will, and then I'm going to ask the question to Brett about it. About 10 years ago, right, I used to have this femme fatale expression on my face where I would go like, right? 10 years forward, gravity takes place on my face, right? Then Will says, don't do that anymore. So now I have to smile all the time.
You're sexy. You banished your sexy face. You're very
I banished the femme fatale is gone. Thank you, Will. Brett, how do you treat a young competitor or model as opposed to a master competitor? Are there any different things that you do as in regards to facial expressions?
That's a great question. For me, there's always, the thing I love about photography is what looks good to me may not look good to Sean. What looks good to Will may not look good to me. And so the great thing is, everyone has their angle. Some people, even the people that you would think have zero flaws, everybody has funky angles. Oh. And so, when you say, a master athlete compared to someone that's, 19, there are going to be great angles, and then there'll be bad angles. And so just a matter of finding the ones that match well for the individual. And everyone has their angles, especially within fitness. Everybody has their superpower.
I mean, I obviously, if we talk about like just the simple idea of a selfie, we know that something from down up, it was going to look terrible, especially if the model is 55, don't you think? So then you have to find a different angle, right, from above. Which would that angle be, if you were to give a general rule?
Well, I'd say, there's some people that are a little bit more self-conscious about, I've got a few extra chins than I did a couple years ago. And so there are certain poses that you just don't do, So some of it is just, accepting who you are. With someone that may have a little bit extra skin, they probably have a little bit extra muscle definition or tone or size. And so it's finding what is their current strength. If you have a perfect nose when you're 18, you're probably not going to have the same nose when you're 45. And so you just got to figure out what is it that's going to be your showstopper feature during that time of your life. And for you, year round, you're amazing. So you have no bad angles, Selena.
Thank you. I like to hear that. See, Will, I told you I have no bad angles.
No, Lena, you don't have any bad angles. You just have better angles.
Oh, great answer. Great reply. You sold that well. Way to flip it. Now, you guys shoot a bunch of different athletes in different settings, say gym setting, maybe it's more fashion, lifestyle, boudoir, whatever. So we want to know certain tips that you guys have for each of these different styles. So Sean, if it's a gym shoot, what are some of the things that you would recommend for someone to come in for a gym shoot versus any of the other styles?
One thing I would say is the outfit. It would be, so you don't want to wear a long sleeve top and a leggings covering your legs. Like you either go like small bottoms and longer top, or smaller top and longer bottoms.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or both short?
That works too. Yeah, that's actually.
So no
the way I do it.
bikinis when you're trying to deadlift. That's a no-no.
I mean, okay. So let's go into this more. So, yeah, again, it depends on what you're looking for in a shoot. Now, if I'm working with someone who's never done a gym shoot before, those are like some general like guidelines to follow.
Sure.
But you can always, in photography, you're always breaking rules. So just because it's a guideline doesn't necessarily mean it's a hard rule.
Sure.
So,
which is why you got to bring
bikinis.
options, right?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yes.
Now, Brett, what about, say, for a lifestyle or fashion type shoot? What advice do you have?
My advice would be to see what Will says about that, because he's going to be the guy that specializes in that.
All right, Will, it's up to you. This is yours.
What is it again? Lifestyle and what?
And like fashion.
Oh. So, I love fashion. I grew up, going down the street at 14 years old, buying $14 copies of Paris Vogue magazine. And there are girly girls and there are tomboys. And so you got to help put wardrobe together. I mean, if you're going to shoot lifestyle fashion, it's got to be lifestyle fashion. It can't look like, ooh, that sounded bad. I was going to say it can't look like it came out of Kmart, but
Yeah.
some people can carry that off.
Yeah.
Quite honestly. I mean, I've gotten stuff. I remember a shoot where we literally stopped at Walmart at 5 o'clock in the morning, picked up some material, went out to the desert and shot. And it's some of my favorite pictures. So it really is all about, I think, and Brett is just being funny because Brett's done it all and he knows it all. And I'm saying that in all seriousness. But lifestyle should be just that. It should be lifestyle, which means that it, comes off of some sort of look that you see that, oh, wow, this carries the look. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. The worst thing you can do is mix and match, right? Mm-hmm. You're trying to do a lifestyle shoot and the person has on boudoir clothing, right? Or whatever the case may be. It just doesn't fit. Like the same thing we said about a gym shoot. So it's really about having that vision up front, communicating at the front end. I think if you're going to give a general theme for this whole thing, it's really about communication, direction, and making sure that you plan properly for what you want to do. When you talk back and forth with your photographer, you've planned correctly and you have some direction on site, you can be a newbie or a veteran and get great images.
I have a question for Will. What's Kmart? What is that? That's before my time, I think. Way before my time.
Nice.
That's it, yeah.
Okay, then we can pass the same question right back at Brett about boudoir.
Please.
I'm going to say the most important thing when planning for one of those shoots is to realize that everybody has their flaws. And so when someone comes into the studio, ready for one of those shoots, one of the things that is going to help maximize a shoot is to leave or to trust the person that you're working with, that they're going to be aware of any insecurities that someone has. Mm-hmm. And once you let it be known, hey, I don't like my arms, then let it go. Because then the photographer is going to keep that in mind and then either pose ways to where your arms look amazing, or they're going to possibly do something in post to make it look a little bit less what you have anxiety about.
Sure.
Whatever is inside of your mind is going to translate onto the camera. And so if you come in with a lot of things that you're not happy about yourself, you're probably going to see some of that in the image as well. And so it doesn't even have to do anything to do with the wardrobe or location or props. It all is about the mindset. When you come in ready to do a shoot like that, I've seen both of these guys do work. And the quality of the image, I mean, you can feel the power in the image. You can feel, it's more than just saying, oh, that's a pretty picture. Mm-hmm. I would never say one of Will's shots are cute. I look at his shots and like, man, that's a powerful shot. I can see how much work they put in the gym. You would never say Sean's images are cute. Yeah. Because they bring out all the confidence, that one earns from being in a gym for 10 years, perfecting their physique. And so the most important thing to prepare for any shoot is just have the right mindset. Trust the creative that you're working with. Communicate. Communication is always key. But once you mention what you don't like about yourself, then you got to let it go, because then it's on us.
These are
to
such
maximize
amazing tips already and powerful things. I'm learning a lot already, and we've still got more, but we're going to cut real quick for a quick commercial break, and we've got more stuff coming at you.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, you know I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on Trifecta.
And we're back with more incredible questions for top photographers in our industry, but I want to take it back a little bit further to figure out where each of you got your start, where you got this passion and the fire to lead you into this path. So Will, let's start with you. What got you into this?
Wow. My grandfather was a photographer, and as a kid, I was in and out of his office that had a sliding glass like cabinet full of old photography gear, and he actually gave me something that was invaluable. He had me take a picture at a family reunion. It was a huge family reunion. There were more than 70, 80 people there.
Oh, wow.
And he gave me the camera, which I'd used before. And he said, okay, now get everybody together for the shot. And of course, I'm this kid. I mean, I was 12 years old. I'm running around there trying to get people together for the shot and, whatever. And so he helps me, finally gets them together, and I take the picture. And it's not until like a week later or so, after we got the film process shot on film, that, he shows me the picture and he says, when you have that camera in your hand, that gives you, the power, the ability to kind of do whatever you need to do to get that shot. And I always remembered that. And so, all through my life on and off in photography, that was a key thing, but it was my grandfather.
Wow. Obviously started very early. So at 12 years old, you found this passion that carried you on through your career at this point?
Oh, I was always off and on, but I shot for my university for sporting events and stuff. And I had a mentor who kind of told me, he said, man, it's hard to feed your family off your camera. And that stuck with me. And if I decided to just do photography, maybe things would have been different, but that stuck with me. So I always used photography as my kind of side gig hustle. And then it just blew up into something that was bigger than that. So, but yeah, off and on, it's been since I've loved photography and camera and developing my own pictures since I was a kid.
That's great.
And it's very obvious that there's a lot of passion,
Yes.
judging by the results of your shots, Will.
Yeah.
You're too sweet.
How about you, Brett? Can you feed your family off a camera?
What got my start, I hated my job. This is probably 10, 15 years ago. I've been in food service industry for 20 years prior, and I absolutely hated it. I didn't want my boss's job. I didn't want my boss's job. And I was kind of going through a huge rut. Some young kid, he looked like he was 19, came in, drove a $100,000 car, always had the newest iPad, iPod, iMac, all this stuff. And I asked him, what do you do? I'm just being nosy, because he was one of my regulars. And he said, I'm a photographer. I said, I'm Asian. Asians build the cameras. I'm sure we can, I can figure this out. And so I went and I bought a whole bunch of gear, and then I realized that he made zero money from photography. He was actually a programmer. He made a ton of money off of the whole MySpace, all back in the day.
Wow.
Sean, there was a thing called MySpace back in the day. It was just before Facebook.
Yeah, Sean.
But then I already had all the gear, and I just said, well, let's see what we can do. My first 10 frames were all whites or all black. I was horrible. My first 2 years, I was a mess. But then had the fortune of meeting a fitness competitor, and it wasn't even a fitness shoot. It was just, hey, I want to shoot you. And she was dating a gym owner, and it led to shooting. My first IFBB Pro was back before I even knew what fitness was. Alex Carnero, who was back in the day, amazing athlete. Yeah. And so he's my very first fitness shoot. And then it was a year after that when I started actually shooting fitness people. And then it's been an amazing ride since. But yes,
you've
the camera
shot
could
a
definitely
lot
see.
of athletes since then because your name is very, very well known in the industry. So you're doing great work. That much
I'm
is
just hoping that
obvious.
one day I get a chance to shoot with both of you.
Well, we
At the
can
same
do that.
time.
How about today? We've got hair and makeup done. We're ready. Let's go. And we got the
Zoom
faces.
photoshoot.
We've got all the tips
Yeah.
for the faces.
All right, taking a picture now.
Yes.
Done.
Great. Hey, we'll set that up for you. We will.
Yes.
Now, Sean, apparently you are the age where you just got out of college from what Will and Brett are acting like, but I know firsthand you've had years of experience. But what got you started in this?
When I was 18 years old, I had no idea about video, photography. I wanted to be an IT specialist. As soon as I finished high school, some kid had some little camera and he filmed a house party and he made this really cool video on YouTube and it just looked so much fun. So that's when I bought my first camcorder. And I actually didn't even think about photography until like 10 years later. So for the first 10 years, until I was like 27, 28, I was just shooting videos. And like opportunities led me to Las Vegas from Philadelphia. And I remember going to shows when I started to do photography when I was like 28. And, Brett Seeley, someone that I've always heard of, saw his logo everywhere. That dude inspired me so much to just keep hustling. And then there was this guy who would run around like a maniac at these shows. Like I remember meeting him one time, shaking his hand as he like ran across. Like he only had time to shake my hand for like 5 seconds. And his name's Will Edwards. That's the guy.
Oh, yeah.
So we got these two guys. But yeah, so when I was 27, 28, an opportunity happened which forced me to teach myself photography. So I've only been doing this for like 5 years now. 5-6 years.
That's amazing.
So, but yeah, to tell myself 10, 15 years ago, hey, you're going to be traveling the country, the world, doing photography. Never thought that in a million years. So it's crazy. It's crazy how things happen.
All these stories are so beautiful, Whitney. I'd like
yes.
to hear that. But I do have a question for all three of you from our video director.
Yes.
Nico, my God, who's asking if you guys have dated any of your models in the past.
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
That's a no.
Oh,
But I've been married for. I was married
Okay.
before I got into photography, so my wife would not be happy with me if I said yes.
Yes. Good point. How about you, Will, Sean? Have you guys ever dated one of your models?
Nope.
Let me say quickly, that's a negatory for me as well. Been married 22 years, so no.
Well, good for you guys. I'm sure that probably helps. You know, you don't want that out in the industry or kind of fogging your reputation. You don't need that.
The
so.
closest I get to dating somebody is Alina is my buddy while we're on shows. We're running around at the shows, you know?
Yes. Now, kind of a similar question. Have you guys ever encountered where you shoot an athlete and then you shoot others in their same division or maybe someone that's their enemy to some state? Do they ever give you guys grief saying, I can't believe you shot her? Have you ever had to encounter that with people getting jealous?
I've been on the receiving end of the opposite. I've been on the receiving end of, oh, you shot so-and-so? Okay, I need to book you. Because they wanted to either keep up or try to outdo.
Oh,
And I'm like,
interesting.
okay,
Yeah,
let's go.
that's a positive. That's a good thing. I wasn't expecting that. How about Sean, Wild? Have you guys ever received the jealousy side of athletes or models?
No, it's been pretty positive for me. I mean, people are always complimentary. They'll say, I saw the pictures you got of this person or that person, and wow, and I want to shoot. Very much the same as what Brett said. I'm excited to shoot. I saw this person's pictures or that kind of thing. I've never had the opposite. I haven't had very many super divas. You know, or at least when they show up and we work together, they're not that way. But I haven't had that type of experience.
Yeah.
how about you, Sean?
Yeah, same thing. Everyone's usually very happy to be at a shoot. I have noticed people booking shoots just because other people have booked shoots to kind of join the club.
And I think I heard you saying that you also did not date any of your models.
No, don't do that. stay professional. I'm there to do a job. I keep that over there, and then my personal life's over here. So, so yeah.
I want to take this jealousy issue or item to a new level now. Do you have problems when the models come with their significant other, partners, husbands, and they start giving
Wow,
their
the
input?
reactions
Oh,
already.
not that.
Please share, because this obviously triggered something
Oh
with
yeah,
all three
I've
of you.
seen girls coming with friends and models and husbands, so I want to know what kind of issues arise from this kind of situation, Sean.
All right, so 99% of the time, it's never an issue. You bring someone to the shoot. It's great. It makes them feel more comfortable. The significant other, their friend. The 1% of the time, it could be a situation where maybe the husband is like always over my shoulder, directing her, right? And in those situations, all you got to do is just make them hold that light up really high, put them to work.
That's amazing.
And the more they talk, the higher they hold the light, and before you know it, they want to leave. They want to be on their phone. So, but I
Great strategy.
But I do think that it can mess with the model's head. Like Brett was talking before, like the mindset the model's in is going to dictate how the photos turn out. Sure. And if she's stressed out because he's behind me, that's going to be an issue. And I am not afraid to like speak up and say, hey, do you mind like going in the other room or something or whatnot?
Brett, how about you? What is the situation with your shoots in this case? And I have one particular question though. Do you allow them to take pictures of the photo shoot happening or videos?
I love social media. I love behind the scenes. If someone's doing video or a Facebook Live, Instagram Live, or selfies, I figure the more publicity, the better. In this industry, it's all about social media. It's all about, marketing. Yeah. What everybody does, and especially with athletes, it's all about getting them to a bigger platform as well. So I'm a huge fan. I love having significant others or friends there, but I do have on my website, it says that, people are welcome as long as they're not being crackheads. Once they turn into a crackhead, then I'm going to ask them to leave.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, just so we can do what we do, it's, much like what Sean said, I do the same. If there's someone that's being a little bit overly intrusive into the shoot, it's having them lift up the heaviest piece of gear and having them walk that way, walk this way. And so there's a little bit of exhaustion, involved. I've had one horror story where someone tried to basically hijack the shoot where while I had the camera, she was kind of directing. And I just put my camera down, and silence can be really awkward. Mm-hmm. So just putting the camera down and just staring until she got the hint, and then she left the room. So I've been fortunate. It's only happened once.
How about you, Will? Can you tell us your horror story from this kind of situation?
Well, I love to have significant others come on the shoot, and for a couple of reasons, right? So, I like a lot of things. I like motorcycles and martial arts and shooting and hunting and fishing, and I'm an outdoors guy, and there's generally not a person that comes in there that I can't find something interesting to talk about with, right? So the minute you connect with that significant other and kind of gain their trust that you're there to do a job and you're there to do what their significant other asks you to do, then you're all on the same team, because that person's there generally, if they don't get it, they're there to be the protector or there to kind of watch out. And so once you alleviate that, you really create a situation where it could be to your benefit. In some cases, I really tell people, hey, look, that's your lady there. I mean, you're going to see things. I see her now, but you see things every morning, right? And so all women, wives, girlfriends, they get this thing, right? And there's this thing where the woman standing there can be halfway seen in the bathroom getting dressed, and the guy's like in the bedroom, putting on his clothes or sitting on the bed, and he's like, oh my God. And the woman's like, oh, what are you talking about, right? Oh, yeah. No, yeah. What are you saying? So that's that thing, right? And so when guys recognize that, and women recognize, that's something you can use. You can use that in the shoot. You can use that as somebody over your shoulder and saying, well, what do you see? And it helps with the energy. Mm-hmm. But I tell you what else, after that person has been significantly connected and they have a great shoot, the next shoot, you better believe the person's coming by themselves for their own time.
That's kind of funny.
Absolutely, I like that. And preparing to conclude this episode, I want to know, what is the number one advice for a biggest no-no for your models? Something that on the top of your head you want them not to do, or you advise not to do. Whoever is ready first.
I'll start. I'd say the biggest no-no is fitness is a small industry. You know, a lot of us know a lot of other people in the industry. It's a very tight-knit community. There is competition, yes, but you know, all in all, I think most of the photographers know of the other photographers. The biggest thing I would say is don't come to a shoot with a phone full of just one person's pictures, like Sean. And I've had this happen before, where someone says, I want this style. My answer is like, Sean is not very far away from us. You know, I want to maximize your shoot, and what that means is I'm going to suggest that you go to Sean, because I want you to get what you are really looking for. And it's not insulting. It's just not going to be the same, because I don't want to shoot like Sean, because I can't shoot like Sean. You know, I don't want to shoot like Will because I can't shoot like Will. You know, it's going to a fine dining restaurant and asking for a hot dog and macaroni and cheese. It's almost a little bit disrespectful, you know, because it's not. If you want something, it's very easy to go directly to the source. And so I'd say just understanding that, you know, it's if there's something that draws you to a particular creative, there's nothing that's stopping anybody from going there, because I mean, Sean's at almost every single place that you want to do a shoot at. Yeah. Sean's everywhere. He's got that youthful energy.
Yes.
I want to know what's Sean's biggest no-no.
The biggest no-no for me is I don't want a model to come to a shoot thinking they need to know how to model. My shoots, I look at them as not just getting good shots, but educational. So I get this question all the time. Oh my God, like I need, you know, I don't know how to model and this. It's like, no, I don't care. It's okay. Just come prepared with everything I've told you to come prepared with. Read everything over. Talk to me. But you're going to learn how to model through my shoot. You're not just going to show up, get in front of the camera, and I'm going to go, all right, no, model. That doesn't happen. Yeah. We're going to work through it. You're going to leave the shoot better than when you showed up as a model. So come open-minded.
I like that.
And Will, what about you? Quick tips from you.
I absolutely love what Brett and Sean said, and now in mine, I guess, is a little bit of both. You know, Brett said something earlier about face, right? So with what we do with fitness competitors and bodybuilders, I mean, they spend most of their time in the mirror practicing their poses. So that part is easy. It's the face, because, and I see this all the time in pictures. I see it sometimes in pictures. You know, you'll have this great pose and the faces and the expression's totally off. Yeah. And that just kills me. It kills it for me, right? I'm like, oh my God, why did they, you know? So my direction to the model, things not to do, don't come in with any preconceived notions about how to model if you haven't. Mm-hmm. To Sean's point, if you're working with a good photographer, that photographer's going to direct you. He's going to help you. You know, some of the things that you look at in the mirror, you know, that look good to you, may not look all that great. You know, as from the photographer's vantage point. And the only other thing I would add to that is, and I've had people do it, do not bring a mirror to the shoot expecting to look in the mirror while I'm shooting you and you're posing. I've seen that. People have done it, and it's like, don't do that. You know, we've talked about what you want. You've seen the images that we put out, and let's come up with our own. You can't look in the mirror and pose and look in the camera and shoot at the same time. So absolutely, that's it.
Amazing. Well, this was to have all this information from you guys. I learned a lot. I know I'm going to be going home practicing my facials for the next time I do a shoot, which it sounds like we've got to do one with you now, Brett. But we appreciate you guys all coming on, sharing your expertise and your knowledge. Sean Nelson, Brett Seeley, Will Edwards. We appreciate you guys coming on, and that wraps up another episode of Fem Flex Friday with my co-host, Alina Popa.
See you
Thank
guys
you
next
guys.
time.